Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar from the Oxfordshire Climate Action Network. We're going to hear from Kate Oldridge of Greener Henley about how they're planning to run an invitation-only community resilience briefing based on the People's Emergency Briefing film that's recently been produced, and which itself followed on from the National Emergency Briefing in Westminster in November. Kate's going to talk for about 20 to 25 minutes, and then we'll take questions from the people on this webinar that are planning their own events. I'm Robin Tucker, co-chair for the Coalition for Healthy Streets and Active Travel in Oxfordshire, and active in Abingdon Carbon Cutters, where we're planning our own events. I'll be your chair for the session. And over to you, Kate.
Thanks so much, Robin. So thanks very much to everybody for coming along today. Thanks to Robin, and also to Ben Long from the National Emergency Briefing team, who are doing such a phenomenal job in rolling out all of these screenings across the country. So thanks for joining us, Ben, because I know that you're all really busy. I also just wanted to mention that Mike Barry, Greener Henley's Chair of Trustees, is here on the call. I just wanted to say at the beginning that this is just one model. There are many groups doing wonderful work all around the country. This is the way we're doing it in Henley. We wanted to share our ideas, and we're also really looking forward to the Q&A afterwards, because I'm interested to know what other groups are doing. The two things that I think we're really trying to focus on at Greener Henley are how we break out of the echo chamber, and I'm going to be talking quite a lot about that, and what actions we are suggesting to participants of the screening. So those are the two things that we're really going to be focusing on. Just by way of introduction to Greener Henley, those two things are kind of very ingrained in all of the work that we do. So we have four key projects, programs that we run at Greener Henley, and all of them are geared around engaging the whole of the community, engaging large numbers of people right across the community, across the political divides, in raising awareness, facilitating understanding of what's going on, and also encouraging people to take action. So this event is a kind of an extension of the work that we're sort of already doing across the community. We work with schools, businesses, we work closely with our local councils, we work with sports clubs, and all different types of organisations across the community. We have a schools initiative. We have an initiative to encourage people to plant wildflowers and plants to create a green corridor. We do a number of outreach events with different groups. We had an event at Henley Business School a couple of weeks ago for businesses on resilience planning. And we have another project called Pledge for the Platform, which I will come on to in a minute. So our event objectives for this event are really twofold. I already just mentioned this, to facilitate understanding about what is actually going on, and really, get people understanding the gravity of it, the seriousness of it. And also, we don't just want to watch the film. And indeed, I know that the National Emergency Briefing are encouraging screenings with workshops and action as well. And, we completely agree with that is the right approach, because we understand that we have to give people agency by providing clear and tangible pathways to action. And we decided to do our event during Great Big Green Week because we thought that this event really dovetailed very nicely with what Great Big Green Week is all about, which is community action. And also it gave us a little more time to organise. So, excuse me. So why invitation only? We know we run a number of large events, and we have been doing for years. We run events in our local theatre. We've had events in all different venues across the town, from the town hall to a well-known rowing club to the River Rowing Museum. And what we note about the events, we also run regular green screen films at our local cinema. What we note about when we run events is that we generally tend to get repeating audiences. So we get people who are generally sympathetic to what we do, our supporter base. We do sometimes get, people outside of that normal group of people, but generally speaking, the group tends to be a sort of similar kind of group that we get coming to events. So for this particular event, we really wanted to make sure that we put the legwork into breaking out of the echo chamber. And so we decided, and as is again recommended by the NEB, we decided to target leaders of local organisations. The trusted messenger element of this is so important. If we convey a message, some people will hear that message, some people won't hear that message because we're not the right person to be conveying it. If they hear that same message from their trusted messenger, that could be a head teacher, it could be a CEO of a business, it could be a sports champion, they are more likely to hear that message. So climate outreach talk about this a lot, and this, we really agree with that. We need to develop this network of trusted messengers across the community who can cascade action down within their own organisations. And what we're doing very much, not just with this event, but with all of our programmes, is that we are building a broad coalition of local organisations across the town. And our Pledge for the Planet programme, which I'll come on to, is very much the main tool that we're using to do that. So who to invite? NEB have provided a list of different groups to invite. That's, I think, Bennett, that's in your screening guide. And we did look at that and we found that really helpful. This is just a top level summary list. So these are the key groups that we are focusing on. I think one of them that's really important is sports clubs, football clubs. The president of our local rugby club is coming. We've got lots of rowing clubs in Henley because we're a rowing town. So we're inviting a lot of people from those. Also, high-profile sports stars. We've got a lot of Olympians in Henley, so had a number of acceptances from those people. So sports clubs are really important. They're also a way of engaging with families and children. Local football clubs, for example. Some that you might not think about, like mother and baby groups, parent groups are really powerful. Schools, obviously, we're very fortunate because we have a schools network, so we have an easy sort of in to schools because we have points of contact with all of our partner schools. And the other one that I'm just working on at the moment is trying to tap into the COVID mutual aid. We had, like many towns across the country, we had a very active mutual aid scheme running during COVID. And those people are really, really important to tap into because they share, our values are aligned, very much thinking about community and look after people. So I definitely want to make sure that we bring in people from that group. We decided that we would not just talk about climate in our invitation. So this is just an extract from our email invite that we used to invite people. And we've decided that we're going to be focusing not just on climate, but geopolitical instability. That's obviously very front of mind for people at the moment, and broadly other resilience issues. We're very lucky that we are Lieutenant General Richard Nugey is going to be speaking at our event. And so he's obviously going to be talking about the national security angle. And we think that this broadening of the definition of resilience will bring people into the room who may not have come into the room just on climate alone. I'm mindful of time, so I don't think I'm going to get too much into the timings here, but you can see a brief overview there. I just want to check if there's anything that I needed to tell you about the timings. In the Q&A, we can get into more detail about what the questions in the workshop, and I'm going to skip over that for now. So in relation to the action, we're trying to drive collective action within our community. We feel that the action does have to be collective rather than fragmented individual actions. We want the action to feel unified and collective. We want to make it visible, and we want to make it trackable. Visible because the research shows that one of the key barriers to people taking action is because they feel that other people aren't doing anything. So they feel disengaged. So I've mentioned our Pledge for the Planet platform a couple of times. The idea is that we are showing people, when people take a pledge, we're showing people how many other people have taken that pledge. So at the moment, our numbers are very low because we haven't properly launched our Pledge for the Planet platform. But in due course, if you go to take a particular pledge, you will see that hundreds or thousands of people have also taken that pledge. So the idea here is that it drives people to get more engaged. And also in relation to the visible element, we're inviting people that once they have taken a pledge, they share that with their audience. They share it on their social media, in their newsletters, in communications with their audience. So it becomes a talking point and it becomes very visible around the town. We want actions to be trackable as well, because we want to be able to prove to our decision makers, to our councillors, to our MP that thousands of people are doing this or thousands of people are doing that, so that we can strengthen the argument for driving policy change upwards. So yes, so when action is visible and trackable, it shows people that action is normal and achievable. It motivates others to join in. Of course, it generates press stories, and so much of this is about storytelling, as we know. And it demonstrates to decision makers, as I know, that this is a community ready for transformative change. So that's how we're trying to drive the systemic change upwards. I should just point out here that I am looking for a quote from a professor who is an expert in social movements and systems change. So if anybody does know a professor who suits that description, I have contacted one person, but they haven't got back to me yet. But I do want to have a quote from a professor who's an expert in this, who can to convey this idea that, yes, we're operating at community level, and you may think that we're just a small community, but actually demonstrating this change at community level is such a crucial element of driving wider systemic policy change, creating the ripples that spill out. So if anybody knows anybody who could give me a quote on that, I'd be really grateful. So our Pledge for the Planet platform, actually, I'm just going to show you here. This is our current platform, which we are in the process of redesigning, and it's going to be relaunched, officially relaunched during Great Big Green Week. You'll see there are tabs across the top: travel, food, money, energy, and so on. We're actually creating a couple of new categories. The category that you can see here is resilience. We're going to be putting loads more pledges into the resilience category, and we're going to be calling it Henley Prepared, because people don't really like the word resilience. They prefer the word prepared. So that is the way that it currently looks. Is going to look better in a few weeks once we launch the new platform, and it's going to be easier for people to use. But the idea is that you will go in, and if you, for example, wanted to take a pledge to be flood ready, you would go in there. I can't scroll down here because this is a screenshot, but if you scroll down, you would click on take a pledge. It would take you less than 1 minute to complete that pledge. And then you would get an email follow up saying, thanks for taking the pledge. Here's some more information. Here's some things you can do to be flood ready. And it would inform them about things they could do. And then it would invite them to share that with their community. So for example, we have a very well-known company in Henley called Hobbs of Henley, which hires boats out on the river, and they get flooded frequently, being just close to the river. And they have taken our Be Flood Ready pledge, and they are poised and ready to start sharing once we give them the toolkit. These are the categories that we will have in our pledge, our new improved Pledge for the Planet platform. And the idea here is that people want to take action in all different types of ways. So we need to meet people where they are. There will be some people who care greatly about insulating their home. There'll be some people who care greatly about eating plant-rich. There'll be some people who really love nature and want to be doing stuff out in nature. So we feel that we have to accommodate everybody. But the category of pledges that we're focusing on for this event is the Henley Prepared category. And I'm just going to show you, yes, why we're focusing on the Henley Prepared category. This is something that the Climate Majority Project talk about a lot. Resilience makes the, I should have attributed this quote to the Climate Majority Project. Resilience makes the climate crisis real and local, drawing people into action where mitigation messaging no longer can. So that's why we want to focus on the resilience pledges and the resilience actions. Now, these are the pledges which fall under the resilience category. The ones in green are the ones that we're going to be focusing on in the session and steering our small groups towards. And in particular, we're going to be steering them towards making the top one, make a plan. So this is about encouraging people to make a resilience plan. And we're going to be giving them a QR code that they can zap and scan a template resilience plan that they can use to build a resilience plan for their organisation. I'm not going to go into any more detail on that at the moment, but we can come back to it in the Q&A if you would like to. So we're going to be doing the screening. Richard Nugi will be speaking for 10 minutes about the national context and then why this work at community level is so important and why building resilience at community level is so important. And then we'll be separating the audience, which will hopefully be about 100 people, into small groups of between 5 and 7 people in a group, with a small group facilitator in each group. They're going to be talking about how the film landed with them, what sort of things that they feel that they can do within their organisation. And these are the 3 actions that we're proposing to the participants. I should say that I understand that the NEB are encouraging people to sign, to encourage their MP to sign the televised emergency briefing. In our constituency, our MP has signed that parliamentary call for a televised emergency briefing, and that is mentioned also during the film. So these are the 3 actions that we're proposing. The first is that they take a pledge for the planet, as I've explained. We're focusing on the Henley Prepared category, and remember, we're focusing on the Make a Plan pledge. And then we want to just emphasise that we are inviting people to share that pledge publicly using toolkits that we're going to be giving them. The second thing is that we really want to encourage the people in our audience to connect and convene with others in their sector to drive things forward themselves. Now, we don't want them to feel too alarmed that we're asking them to do too many things, because we understand they're a room of very busy people. So the facilitators are going to suggest numbers 2 and 3 actions as possible things they can do if they feel so that way, you know, if they have capacity, if they feel that so inclined. But the action that we're going to be really focusing on primarily is the first action. I'm mindful of time, so just going to skip through these last couple of slides. How do we hold the participants accountable? We're very mindful that we're going to have a room full of people who represent organisations. Probably between 70 and 80 organisations will be represented in the room. But these people will need to go back. They will need to clear things with their board of directors, with other people within their organisations. So we understand that people can't necessarily commit in the room. But what we do want to do is for people to feel a sense of personal commitment, that they will, you know, go back to their organisations and try their hardest to, you know, to do what we're asking them to do within their organisations. So we will be providing each small group with a large piece of paper and inviting people to write down what they might do when they go back to their organisation. So there's a little bit of accountability between groups. I should say that we are going to we are going to do the Chatham House rules thing within the event, so that people don't feel that they're going to be quoted in any press release or anything like that. So we understand that people need to feel safe within their groups to within their conversations. But we are also, once we convene these small groups back into the larger group, the facilitators are going to invite people to give a show of hands on who might be, going back to their organisations to invite them to develop a resilience plan or whatever. So we're going to use the show of hands as a way of holding people accountable, but, recognising that people have the constraints they have. We are going to be giving a handout that will look something like this, but it will include flooding on it, to give people a sense of the sorts of local impacts that they can see. This is something that was developed by Exeter University, and we're just going to be adding the flooding in there. And as I say, we're also going to be providing people with a resilience plan template. We are very happy at Greener Henley to share, as we're doing now, share our plans, our resources, any materials that we have. We're also happy to share all of the content of our Pledge for the Planet website platform. We're only inviting pledges on our platform from people who live within the Henley area, Henley and surrounding villages. It's not really relevant for other groups around the country to actually make a pledge, but we can happily share all of the content with you. And if anybody in due course wants to set up their own pledge platform using our content, we would be more than happy to give you permission to do that. But all that we would ask for is for groups that are using any of our materials or content to credit Greener Henley. And I think that was the last slide, so I'm going to stop sharing. And
hey,
Robin,
thank you very much, Kate, for that run through. That's really good. And I've been looking on the participants. We've got people here from Redruth all the way up to Warrington, which is a pretty good coverage from of England. I don't know if we've got anyone else from any of the other nations, but that's fantastic. Let's throw it open to questions. Anyone want to pop their hand up? Yes, sustainable Amersham, first of all. And then we'll go to Kim Cunningham.
Hi there. I just wanted to ask, when you were sending the invitations out, did you use a platform like Eventbrite or just like an internal email system?
Yeah, we usually use Tickets Tailor for events that we do that are open to the public, but we decided that as this was an invite-only event, we decided, I may or may not have been the right decision, to just use emails. So there's a lady called Imogen, who I'm not sure if she's on this call or not, who is helping with that. So we've built a email distribution list, and Imogen has been methodically emailing everybody out and then chasing up invites and so on, which is quite a time-consuming way to do it, but it feels more personal and exclusive.
Thank you.
Kim Cunningham in Redruth.
Hello there. Thank you very much. I've got multiple hats on, like Wurzel Gummidge did. Vegan, Green Party, Town Councillor, environmentalist since my 20s. So the questions, I've got 3 questions, quite short. One is that we've just had a campaign called Dower Glan, which means fresh water, to raise a vote of no confidence against South West Water, demand it be taken back into public ownership. So the question related to that is, how do we share the information between us nationally about campaigns that we're running that other participants can? So that's one question. Second question is, do wildlife trusts get involved? Are they invitees to these meetings? Because the Cornwall Wildlife Trust is pretty passionate about taking part in all this stuff. And also I'm a member of, and I've got another Green Party colleague here who's already looking into this, hosting an NEB thing and working with our town council. We're very fortunate to have a very proactive town council that has a community partnership group, which I'm part of the working group. So we've got so many people, we've got flood forums, we've got all these things. It's like everybody's cracking on, but it would be great if I could be clear how to share resources so we're not duplicating effort. And will I get all that sort of answers to all that from your website? So that's my questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. So in terms of how to share information and resources and so on, I mean, I suppose this is our way of doing this webinar, is our most obvious way of sharing what we're doing. Our website is currently under redesign. So if you look at it now, it's not really a very good reflection of exactly what we're doing. But we are looking to relaunch our website within the next few weeks. So by the time of Great Big Green Week, it should be up to date. I think that the NEB is doing a really fantastic job of kind of connecting up different groups and bringing everybody together. Within Oxfordshire, Robin and I are both part of a group called Climate Action. What's it called, Robin? Climate Action.
Well, it changes. Oxfordshire Climate Action Network.
Climate Action Network, that's right. So, and actually we've got our first meeting, I think, today. So we in Oxfordshire, we are doing a better job of that, of coming together as lots of different groups and organisations and being more efficient at sharing information so that we're not reinventing the wheel all the time. But certainly at a national level, I mean, I would love our Pledge for the Planet platform to be hosted nationally, so that everybody could just use that. We can't do that because we're very much a place-based organisation. So I think there is more work to be done in terms of how we are more effective about sharing our information, but I think we're all moving in the right direction. In terms of the wildlife trusts, BBOUT, which is Bucks Oxfordshire Wildlife Trust, is our local one, but they're not really based in Henley, so I'm sorry we haven't invited them. So we're really focusing very much on Henley in the local area. So there are a couple of sort of conservation groups in Henley who we'd hope to be there. But as I say as well, the objective of this event is to break out of the echo chamber. So we're trying to invite groups that are really not conservation groups, just different types of organisations.
Yeah, I think that's well captured. There are across Oxfordshire and probably across many other places. There's a network is possibly too strong a word, but there are different organisations with different goals, different geographies, all making strides towards the kind of roughly aligned causes. Some are more climate focused, some are more nature focused, and many different people are members of more than one organisation, and we have different means of trying to keep in contact with each other, in sync with each other, none of which are perfect. So there is sometimes duplication. There's sometimes we're doing two different things on the same day. So none of this is completely worked out. There's a couple of things, Kate, that are emerging from the chat. One is specifically about the slides that you've shown and how we if we can share those, and then more generally more specifically the pledge materials that you've talked about, the kind of how in practice we can make those available to share, because that's part of a website, and so not particularly easy to share, apart from people looking at your website and copying bits of it. Don't know if you can comment on that.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we will get our pledge platform up and going, and then probably what we will do once we've got capacity to do it is we will make available the information, probably in a PDF or something, that we will have a link to on the website. I'm kind of just thinking on my feet here because it's not something we've got to yet, but that is something that we can do Yeah, I just wanted to say as well, Robin, because it's just occurred to me, there have been a number of people in Henley who've said to me, but what about a public screening? You know, everybody needs to see this film. This isn't just for, you know, a few people who are the leaders in the community. Absolutely. My response has been, we're a really small charity, very small core group of sort of 4 or 5 people with extremely stretched resources. We don't have the capacity to run a number of public screenings. What we're doing is putting all of our resources into hopefully delivering a cracking event on the 8th of June with people from across the community. And one of the asks at that event is for people to host a public screening. So, and I'm also speaking to people now and saying, can you host a public screening? And some of those people are coming to the event. So that is my hope and objective. And I would really like to see on the NEB screening map that there are a number of other public screenings popping up around Henley with other people taking the lead in organising those. And of course, we can come in and help them run the workshop if we have capacity, or we can give them the resources and materials to run the workshop. So we are kind of sort of positioning as a kind of coordinating role and hopefully enabling and empowering other people to get involved.
Okay, and yeah, that's a good point, and it's worth saying, as you say, some organisations are going to a public event first and then using that to build in momentum for an invitation of only event later. Some organisations are doing it the other way around. We'll learn over time, I think, which approach works best. But it's all building momentum. Let's go to Julie in Wiltshire with your question.
Hello. Yeah, thanks so much for everything you're doing, Kate. And you inspired me ages ago when you first announced this approach. And you know, I've got a marketing background too, so it makes total sense to me. Anyway, I wanted to say about Wiltshire Wildlife Trust is very, very supportive of this, even though officially they're not. They have given us a free venue for our first screening tonight. So I would approach the trust. I think even if at a, you know, CEO type board level, they're not officially supporting it. The people running the centres and the community managers and the volunteers that run the wildlife programmes, they tend to look after these places on a day-to-day, and you know they're really happy for us to go in and use it. So we're using it as our base for the PEB briefings, and we started, as you have, with targeting about 50 people to come from the top down, inviting our council and our Wiltshire Council representatives as well. So we've actually had confirmation, I'm so pleased to say, from the head of climate, so the cabinet member for climate, the environment and waste at Wiltshire Council is coming tonight, along with 3 or 4 of the parish councils around us. So, and then I'm hoping, as you've just said exactly, that they will get behind it and support the screenings too. And we've already got one set up in Salisbury Guildhall as well as a result of that approach, because the cabinet member supported that. So, however, we are having a lot of difficulty engaging our MP, and he's one of the key things, and I think this is on the NEB site somewhere, that I only found out a few days ago. Someone told me that I think it was the lady that's facilitating for us tonight, who's brilliant, told me that she'd found some information that MPs can't really attend in the week because they're going to be in Westminster. You know, so don't have your event. If you want your MP to come, have it at the end of the week. Have it on a Friday or a Thursday, or even at the weekend might be easier for them. So, and that's I finally got a reply from my MP, who is John Glenn, today through his PA to say, you know, there's a 3-line whip today and he cannot come. So that's a bit of advice I just wanted to pass on. But I'm hoping, I've got to go because I've got people coming out of my ears asking me all about tonight. So I've got to go. But I really wanted to say thank you, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Really, yeah, good luck.
Thanks. Okay.
Good luck, Julie. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Yeah, I mean, there's a very important link there between. I think we all know that the climate nature link is a very important one. Hugo, your hand went up during that, and I think you may have something to add to that
It's
particular
very,
point.
very, very, very quick one. We think it's extremely important that you get your MP there. The way we address this is to get hold of the MP first and get a list of dates that he could do. We've got an excellent MP, so it's not problematic. So we chose one of his dates and he's booked to come.
Okay, thank you. Or she, I will add. Um, Jen Newell, your question. And where are you from, Jen?
Hi, I'm calling in from Comrie, our library that we saved recently from closure and now have out of hours access to. So Comrie's up in Scotland, Strathern. And I just wanted to start by apologising. We had a youth steering group meeting in here. So I only joined at about past because that meeting overran. So it was just if I've missed like stuff in the chat, but like just dropping a link where I can find the resources and watch back the start of this. I think actually my main question, Kate already answered. But having not been able to, and I also just wanted to share a little nugget that will hopefully just make you all smile in your heart right now. Is that yesterday, just at the pub here, someone was back from a visit to Collinsay, like the Isle of Collinsay, and she was like, "Oh, watch this amazing film! Like you'd want to bring it here with what you're doing in Comrie," and it was the PB film. So yes, he reached the outer isles of Scotland already. But no, my kind of key question for those that have watched the film and worked with a community on it is in terms of the timing and being able to have space, and sorry if this has already been covered, that kind of space for a workshop and stuff with these invited guests. I love the intentional invitation screening. Is whether to have something like that. So there's an organisation putting on a public screening of it locally anyway. And we were trying to work out whether we're better to have this intentional one, try and squeeze it in before when they're putting it on, or if actually it's the kind of thing that giving people the opportunity to watch the film ahead of coming to a workshop, like whether you might separate those two. Has anyone got a sense of flow from what they have done so far in terms of film screening and workshop, and the one or having a bit of space between the film and then bringing people together? Is that something that someone's tried or might be worthwhile?
Thanks so much, Jen. Ben, do you want to take that?
Yeah, hi Jen. Thanks for that. Yeah, I'm from the National Emergency Briefing, so I can just give you a bit of an outline of what we've suggested for people. So the session that we've suggested, which is available through our screening guide, it amounts to about 2 hours and 20 minutes in total, and that includes the screening of the film. And so the film then runs on direct into a facilitated discussion that the community can basically gives them an opportunity to sort of articulate their individual responses to the film and start deciding on a bit of a collective response to how that community might engage with the material that is heard. So that's about 2 hours and 20 minutes. And we're hearing really positive things about that being one session, because the risk is if you sort of let people disperse out of the room, that you lose the moment a little bit. So our advice would be to run that session as a single session, but then down the line, say a week down the line, to organise a follow-up meeting where people, having digested this information and explored some of the next steps they might want to take, and this is obviously not the Henley model, but the NEB's suggested approach, is that they might then take a bit of time, take a week to just think about how they'd like to respond, look at the materials that we've made available, and then reconvene in order to make a plan about what their response as a community might look like. So that's our suggested guide.
Thank you. Can I just follow up on that and maybe Kate, with the putting on the kind of intentional invitation, sorry, I've come straight from youth work to this. The So as I say, there's an organisation locally that's going to put on a big public screening, but without the discussions, like just screening of the film. And so to have that invitational one kind of before or after is really kind of where I'm trying to get some input on, because if it's after, does that, if you're opening it up to then anyone that's come to the film to come to an intentional kind of that invite only type thing, but then it starts to muddy the waters perhaps of inviting people that have seen the film, engaged by it, that want to then come along to a kind of more in-depth, intentional discussion. Yeah, maybe Kate, you're best to say, like, kind of keeping that second one invite only, or opening it up if it is after a public screening.
I mean, we're all feeling our way on this, I suppose, aren't we? Because it's new for all of us. I think that based on the work that we do within our community, I am convinced that an invite-only model is an effective way to reach across the community, but it is more time-consuming. It's more organisation. Ultimately, we want as many people to see the film as possible. If we do an invite-only screening, I think that we can bring people into the room who wouldn't otherwise have seen it. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think it does. And I think even asking the question started to, feel the way into that as well. But thank you so much.
Often the case. Thank you, Jen.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yes, Ben,
Could I just jump in with one
I'll...
more thing, Jen? It's just to say that something that the NEB is working on now is the idea of how we might target certain people who might not necessarily be in the sort of climate bubble normally as well. So obviously the Greener Henley model is making these very targeted invitations, but there might be approaches to inviting a random selection of people from the community as well, in order to bring them into screenings. And we're sort of working on modelling that out for people. So keep an eye on our channels, because we're going to be putting that out before too long. The advantage of that, obviously, is you bring people who might not self-select to come to your screening in, if we can get that right. And so if that was the approach, then one route would potentially be to have an open public screening where people could attend sort of by choice, as it were, and then you get a certain demographic of people attending, and then you could follow that up with an additional invite-only approach, but an invite-only approach which differs from the Henley model in the sense that it's targeting sort of random households around the community.
The unusual suspects.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll be putting out some information about that before too long in that approach.
If you want to chat more about that, that's really aligned with what I want to do here. So I can share my email. I have further up the chat. Thank you.
I'll put mine in now. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Ben in Redruth.
Hello. Yeah, thanks. The message of the film is surely that it's up to us, that the government ain't going to come over the hill, and also that collective action is what's required now rather than individual, and really therefore that getting out the word is crucial about the action that is needed after the film. So, and sort of helping people sort of understand and absorb the material. I'm just saying, isn't that important and almost enough for us to work at validating that and not worry about getting distracted along many of the usual pathways of responses to such material?
Ben, could you just elaborate on what you mean? Isn't that enough? I'm just not quite clear of your question.
Really, I mean, I've been to a couple of screenings and they have been public ones, so I'm really keen on doing the invite only as reaching beyond the bubble. And it's almost not rushing, as previous responses to webinars have said, to sort of action, but really allowing, there's a sense that if we really wrap this up to get a lot of people witnessing this film and really taking it in, then they'll come up with actions themselves. It's not for us to, it's not necessarily enabling. I'm just saying what might be enabling is allowing people to really take in the information first and feel it as well, rather than immediately rush to actions which are usually incredibly not fit for purpose, you know.
Thanks, Ben. I'm going to try and answer your question quickly because I am mindful of time and I'm mindful that there's still some more people with questions. It would be good to get through all of them. But that's an interesting question. I think the NEB have done a really fantastic job of, creating a film that really stops people in their tracks. And the important thing for us now at community level is how we harness that emotion, how we harness that heightened awareness and understanding of the situation. And it is our experience working within our community that the problems that we have tend to be twofold. First of all, there is obviously some understanding of the situation, but we feel that there is perhaps a lack of understanding of how serious the issue is, the issue number one. The second is people don't really know what to do. So many people want to do something, but they don't know what to do. So we're seeing it as our role to create a platform for people to be able to take action, and that is collective and unified action. So that not only does it make a big difference on the ground in terms of the tangible impact that it's having on the ground. So imagine, for example, a town where, 80% of the businesses had developed resilience plans. Thousands of people were all planting and taking action to prepare and prevent flooding. We were cleaning our air through more active travel, making ourselves more fit and healthy by eating more plant-based food. Imagine a town where that action just ramped up significantly because people had an easy way of understanding how to take that action. So we're not only making a tangible difference on the ground in terms of enabling people to take that action, but we're also speaking with a powerful voice because we are taking that action collectively and we are driving the numbers that enable then the policymakers to say, look at what's happening in this town. People are ready for change. They want change. They want to live a clean, safe and healthy life. And therefore we need this policy change. So that's what we're doing. So I think that presenting people with a way of taking action is absolutely crucial. If we could just go, Robin, onto the, I hope that answers your question to some extent, Ben, but if we could just go on to the final questions and try to squeeze those in, that would be great.
Yes, absolutely. We're aiming to finish by one. We will finish by one. Robert in Amersham.
Yeah, hi, thanks. Brilliant as ever. Our question is, we're showing it on the 2nd of July, so we're still just at the point of sending invitations out. So the question is, how do you get the email addresses of the people? Is it okay? Yeah. Is it okay to say send them to somebody and they send them on to their friend who runs a business? What are the GDPR issues in bringing it into a system that we've got within Sustainable Amersham, or do we keep it external?
Yeah, thanks, Robert. We are doing this. There's a lot of information that's publicly available. So a lot of the time we find the information in that way. Some of the time we draw on our network and we ask people if they would, if they would be interested in attending and could they give us their email address. You're right, we do need to be careful of GDPR, but we are, inviting people to give us their details if they're not publicly available. And it's just a lot of hard work and grind, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Should we go on to Simon?
Yeah, hi. I just want to quickly share an idea which might be for consideration for sort of nationwide, is to maybe have some kind of like regional support hubs for the PEB screenings. Just to give you an example, because the area I live in is Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole. It's one big conurbation, about 300,000 people, and there's a number of like screenings that are already sort of planned to take place. And what I've done is next week I've got an invite-only screening for the people organising those other screenings. So I invited them along, and the idea is to try and build up, sort of share best practice kind of thing. I'm kind of using my event next week as a bit of a trial run, and to try and get everyone, because we're all in the same room, and we can discuss, what we're doing at those other follow-on events, so they can kind of like see before they run their events how a small-scale event happens. And the idea is to then say, okay, the people that have then done those screenings, and we can try and build up like a support team for that area to support other people that are looking to run their own screenings. Because we can say, look, we've done our screening, we can help you if you're in, which is item 3 on your action list, as in if people are looking to do that, come along to a screening, we can help you do one in your area for your group and for your small community or whatever. So anyway, I just threw that in there. That's just an idea for consideration.
Thanks, Simon. I think that's a really interesting idea, and I can see Ben putting his thumbs up. So I'll leave Ben to think about that one. Anuradha, could we come on to you really quickly, and then we may be able to squeeze the last 2 ones in? Robin, I'm so sorry for just totally.
No, do it, Kate.
I'm just trying to get these last questions in. Oh, you're on mute.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Just to offer, really, sharing is so vital. All these different groups you've talked about will have different creative ideas for events and actions, but how to put it around is to share and to make it easy to share and make it visible and trackable, as you said, Kate. And therefore, if you put it on the mycelium map, it's now not only for Oxfordshire and the Chilterns, it's gone nationwide. So you can just use that. It's free. Everybody's welcome to use it and pass all your climate and nature actions round, and everybody can be inspired and do it in their own neighbourhoods.
Thanks so much, Anuradha, and it's a great resource for us here in Oxfordshire. So thanks for all the hard work you've put into that. And Kim, should we?
Kate, I'm also thinking we should. Not everybody here will necessarily be on the Community Resilience Briefing WhatsApp group, and putting a link to that. I think you're the only group admin, so. Maybe you can do that.
See if I can do that
in real time in the chat. While Kim asks the question, we'll test your multi-processing capabilities. Kim, the final question of the day.
Right, actually, it's a response to how to make contact with people that you don't usually have that with. Our town council
answers are even better.
Well, yeah, our town council declared a climate emergency a few years back, and we have business liaison officers, community liaison people. So if you haven't already checked out your local parish or town councils, do so, because they may well say, this is great, that's part of our policy. They'll help you with networking and getting contact details. That's my suggestion.
Thank you. Excellent. Well, I think it's time to draw to a close then. And thank you, Kate, for that excellent presentation. Thank you to everyone for attending and engaging. There are lots of other resources and events coming from the National Emergency Briefing team. And thanks to them for coming here as well. And the number of screenings on the map is really heartening to see. So we hope your events go well, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thanks very much, everybody, and hi to Nick, who's hiding. Right, thanks, folks. Cheers.
Bye.